The first time Maren Whitlock stepped through the towering glass doors of the Ashton Dynamics headquarters, she felt the weight of 100 stories pushing at her from all sides. Stories of a high-powered CEO widower, of a daughter who hadn't spoken in years, and of a revolving door of nannies who never lasted more than a week. But nothing compared to the moment she saw sunlight scattering across the marble floors, catching the reflection of a small, fragile girl standing alone in the middle of the lobby as if she were invisible to the world. The child didn't look up. She simply swayed, barely moving, head down, fingers tapping her forearm in a quiet, rhythmic loop that looked like a language nobody else understood. That one scene was enough to tell Maren she was stepping into something much deeper than a job. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us how human we all are, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. When Maren met CEO Rowan Aldridge for the first time, daylight poured into his office like a spotlight framing a man who had forgotten how to rest. He was tall, sharp-featured, but exhausted in a way that hinted at years of trying too hard and still feeling like he wasn't doing enough. He introduced his daughter as Kyra, 6 years old, autistic, nonverbal, and deeply sensitive to loud sounds and changes in routine. Maren listened carefully, absorbing every detail as Rowan's voice grew tight around the edges when he admitted other nannies had left because they couldn't connect. He didn't say it bitterly. He said it like a man who blamed himself. Maren assured him she had experience, patience, and above all, respect for children with unique ways of seeing the world. Rowan wanted to believe her, she could see it, but doubt flickered in his eyes as he led her downstairs to meet the very child everyone feared they'd fail. The sun was settling high in the sky, turning the glass corridors warm with golden reflections as Maren found Kyra sitting in a quiet lounge corner with noise-canceling headphones on. She rocked gently, her fingertips trailing over the pattern of the couch like she was memorizing the texture. Maren didn't speak at first. She sat several feet away, matching Kyra's rhythm with her own hands, not copying but acknowledging. Kyra's eyes darted up for a second, just long enough to confirm Maren wasn't trying to intrude. That tiny glance felt like a door unlocking. Over the next week, Maren simply learned Kyra's world, its unspoken rules, its fragile boundaries, its invisible doorways. They spent afternoons in the sunlit garden on the executive terrace, where Kyra traced the shadows of leaves on the ground and hummed softly under her breath. Maren hummed too, never louder, never overbearing. Slow progress was still progress. She never tried to force anything, especially not eye contact or words. She just showed up every day with the consistency that children like Kyra depend on, and little by little, the tension in Kyra's shoulders softened. But the breakthrough came on an afternoon no one saw coming. It was a bright weekday, the kind where the clouds drift lazily and the air smells faintly of blooming jasmine from the terrace. Rowan was in the middle of a tense board meeting when an unexpected thunderstorm rolled across the city. Though the rain wasn't loud, the sudden shift in atmospheric pressure, wind, flickering light, was enough to trigger Kyra's anxiety. She curled up beside the wide office window, rocking faster, her breaths shallow. Maren immediately knelt beside her and whispered gentle reassurance, but the child was slipping into overwhelm. Desperate to redirect her, Maren opened the small portable speaker she always carried. Soft instrumental music began to float through the room, light, melodic notes, peaceful like rainfall without the fear. Kyra stilled, her fingers hovering midair. Maren stood slowly, giving the girl space, and began to sway to the rhythm and soft, fluid movements that mimicked water flowing over stones. She didn't force eye contact, didn't get close, she simply danced with kindness and calm. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "Dance with me?" It was barely a whisper, just a breeze of sound slipping into the space between them. And then something extraordinary happened. Kyra stood. Not abruptly. Not fearfully. She rose the way a new flower uncurls its petals after days of hiding, carefully, quietly, with a bravery no one would have expected from a child terrified of change. She moved toward the center of the room, her toes brushing the sunlight. She lifted her arms tentatively, her movements mirroring Maren's as if they shared a secret rhythm no one else could hear. Their dance was slow, imperfect, delicate, but it was real. It was connection, pure, unfiltered, miraculous. Rowan returned from the meeting at that exact moment, briefcase still in his hand. He froze at the doorway as if the world had stopped. He sought his daughter, his little girl who hardly let anyone touch her, swaying freely beside a woman she trusted. It was a sight he didn't dare blink at. His throat tightened, emotion rushing through him like a wave strong enough to knock down every wall he had built. Maren continued dancing gently, giving Kyra the lead. The child's expression softened, and for just a heartbeat, she looked straight at her father with quiet, glowing eyes. Rowan's breath broke. He placed a hand over his mouth, overwhelmed. When the music faded, Kyra reached out. Lightly. Softly. Her fingertips brushed Maren's hand in gratitude. And Rowan finally understood, his daughter wasn't unreachable. She just needed someone who looked for her without trying to change who she was. The next days were filled with small moments that felt like miracles. Kyra began humming more, exploring more, even tapping Maren's shoulder gently to guide her attention. Rowan's eyes softened each time he watched them, his guarded, executive exterior melting away into the father he longed to be. The staff noticed the changes too. The building seemed brighter, lighter, as if one child's healing had shifted the energy of an entire corporation. But the greatest transformation happened not just in Kyra, but in Rowan, who slowly learned to breathe again, to hope again, and to trust again. He realized he had spent years trying to fix what was never broken. All he needed to do was love his daughter as she was, and accept the help of someone who understood that. As the story nears its end, if this moment touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Your engagement helps more people discover stories that bring light into the world.